One of these days, somebody's going to write a book, and at the start, in the prologue, they're going to say, Alexis Davis, boy, she always won her second rounds. Coming up this weekend, we have Port Colborne's own Alexis Davis, now representing California. She's going to be taking on Lithuania's Julija Stoliarenko, a fighter who I've been very high on for a very, very long time, and it has not worked out for me, nor has it worked out for Julija Stoliarenko. But do I ever have a story to tell you about this fight? Because straight up, it was a pleasure researching and getting ready for this one. You might laugh at me and say, Craig, you have too much invested in Alexis Davis and Julija Stoliarenko. And I would say, yeah, maybe I do, but this is what I do. So let me tell you, Alexis Davis never loses second rounds. And if you look at her 5-on-in, she's 1-4. And you might go, geez, well, that's not good. Yeah, it isn't good. Fine. But look at the level of competition. Caitlin Chookagian, Jennifer Maia, Viviane Araujo beat Sabina Mazo, who hopped up to 135. And then gets the win loses by decision against Pannie Kianzad. But in those three fights against some all-time flyweight challengers, because they didn't win the belt,
down a little.
They're just all-time challengers, she was able to win those second rounds, and she is the definition of steady Eddie. She is the best utility player on your favorite baseball team. It's like a late career Brett Gardner for the Yankees. You can still put him into pinch hit and he'll give you a single. You can still put him into pinch run and he might bite down on his mouthpiece and steal second base. Alexis Davis is that fighter. And why is she that fighter? Because she's a savvy veteran. And there's some qualities that you just can't pick up that when you watch an Alexis Davis fight, you go, oh, okay, I really get it. She can fight behind the jab. She can throw a good 1-2. She can mix in her wrestling if she has to. And she's always there in these fights. She's not getting submitted. She's not getting knocked out. Unless it's Ronda Rousey, Royal Rumble winner in 2022. She's not losing fights that way. She can get outpointed. She might even get out-wrestled against a really, really good wrestler. But she's always in these fights. And now for Alexis Davis to go from losing to Pannie Kianzad in her last fight to taking on Julija Stoliarenko, who, really, Matt, I think it's fair to say both these women are fighting for their jobs at this point because
without a doubt,
Stoliarenko lost to Leah Letson after the Ultimate Fighter that counts as a UFC fight. And then she goes outside of the promotion. She wins the Invicta Championship against Lisa Verzosa in a split decision that could have gone either way, but was an absolute banger and left Verzosa with life-altering scars on her face. So that's kind of crazy, but that was a wild fight. And then if you look at it, she comes into the UFC, loses to Yana Kunitskaya in one of the most boring fights I've ever seen, and then loses to Julia Avila by submission. If you look at it this way, Matt, again, Ronda Rousey was the queen of the arm bars. Julija Stoliarenko is a close second because that's the way that she wins her fights. Great grappler, recently earned her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt in November of last year. Trained a week in Belfast, Northern Ireland for this fight with Leah McCourt, Bellator's own, a very, very good fighter who happens to have a win over Manon Fiorot on her record. But when I look at this one, Matt, I don't think a week of training with Leah McCourt is going to make an ounce of difference in this one. Julija Stoliarenko either throws one shot, or when she blitzes, she brings her hands down and she eats every shot.
Okay, I understand you're down on Stoliarenko, and understandably so. But let's not sell Alexis Davis like she's great at 37 years old. Yes, I like the second round thing too, but this is the thing about Alexis Davis that's important, and this speaks more to the second round thing than anything. Alexis Davis just fights at the same pace, and if her opponent falls off after the first, she will win. If they don't, she won't. And it's really as simple as that, because with Alexis Davis, it's not like she has added new components to her game. She very much is the same fighter who fought Ronda Rousey all those years ago, and it is wild. Women's MMA has evolved quite a bit, even from the time that Ronda Rousey was champ. And, last night I had to Google it, because I was on Twitter. I don't care about wrestling, but there's a lot of people who post wrestling stuff when you follow a lot of, MMA accounts on Twitter. I'm sure everyone else has had that problem, too. But I heard, I don't give a damn about my reputation. And I was like, oh my goodness, Ronda Rousey's back. So I was looking up, 2015 was a while ago. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it was 2 years ago when Ronda Rousey was just champ. It has been a while, and Alexis Davis is the same fighter. She does throw, I would say, okay combos on the feet. A very upright and very squared up striker, I would say. She's not somebody like Wonder Boy who has one leg very far ahead of the other. She does have a bit of a boxing style, but this is my problem with Alexis Davis. You're right. She doesn't get knocked out. She doesn't get submitted. She does get pieced up a lot, though, moving forwards into jabs, and that does concern me because she's somebody who shows damage very poorly on her face. She's in that Lauren Murphy, Nick Diaz category to where you've just taken a lot of shots, the scar tissue has accumulated, and unfortunately for Alexis Davis, like, even the Mazzel fight, she did win, but Mazzel hit her about 3 times, and her face immediately started to puff up, and that's always something I worry about with Davis at this stage of her career, because I do agree with you. Stoliarenko is not a great striker by any means, but let's say she is able to land that one big shot on Davis early on. Remember when, and you argued about this decision for a long time, when Gegard Mousasi fought Shlemenko in Bellator and broke his orbital early on in the fight, you could see one of those cases happen here where Stoliarenko hits Davis with a good shot, puffs up her eye, and then that kind of affects the rest of the fight. But I do like the steady style of Alexis Davis because even on her worst day, I know what I'm going to get. Whereas with Stoliarenko, her best day compared to her worst day, I have no idea where the in-between even is.
That's the trouble. So for Stoliarenko, going back through it, I mean, she was on The Ultimate Fighter. It was season 28, win over Marcia Allen, a loss to Penny Kanzat, a loss to Leah Letson in the finale. Again, she had that crazy weight cut scare last, February? Last winter, roughly. She was supposed to fight Julia Avila, and then she got up too quick, and, you say it was a one-off, whatever. She fights Avila back in June. They had a really fun fight if you go back and watch that one, but again, she ends up getting submitted in that one. And the notes that I have on her, really good leg kick. She really does have a solid leg kick, but she kind of, drops her hands, throws the leg kick, and then gets right back and resets, and it takes her a long time to do it. Again, from long range, she just throws single shots. So it's one leg kick, reset. It's a jab, reset. It's a right hand, reset. But then when she gets brought into the brawl, and if she's fighting in boxing quarters, she does actually have a lot of success in some of these fights. Again, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt from Roger Gracie at Amsterdam. Wow, pretty neat there. But she's been a hometown fighter for a really long time out of her gym, a Fighter House, and that's really neat to see. So when I look at the odds for this one, Alexis Davis, who's 1-4 in her last 5 fights, open to -200. She's a -219 right now. For Julija Stoliarenko, open to +170, +176. Matt, if we look at the Tapology vote, surprised us there to you. I'm going to say over-under 65% for Canada's Alexis Davis.
I think they'll be closer to 50-50.
Look at that. 828 total votes, 79% Davis, 88% by decision. For the 21% that have Stoliarenko, 65% by decision. Now, you go back and watch the previous videos. I picked Stoliarenko. I'm all over Stoliarenko, and now I'm not as high as I used to be on her. Listen, she has great jiu-jitsu. She has odd takedowns. She has Lethway experience. The art of the, 9 limbs? You can headbutt in that.
Yeah, you can.
Fun stuff. But for Julia, it just really hasn't came full circle in the UFC. And when I look at a fight like this against Alexis Davis, I mentioned Verzosa and the scars because she cut her open really well. That's not normally how Julija Stoliarenko fights. She doesn't normally brawl. She did in that fight. She did a little bit against Julia Avila. But again, she just doesn't really accept striking all that well. And when she gets hit, she got busted open against Avila. She got busted open against Verzosa. And she has a hard time coming back in some of those fights. So I think Alexis Davis is going to have the striking advantage. But again, Alexis Davis at a 2-1 favorite, 1-4 in her last 5, and she's just turned 37 4 months ago?
Even if I had a time machine and went back in time, I wouldn't bet money on this fight. That's how little confidence I have in either one of these athletes. Because I agree, I am going to pick Alexis Davis, but I'm relying on a lady who's been in the UFC for almost 10 years, and she's 37. Age catches up to everybody, and at 1-4 in her last 5, it's not like Alexis Davis has been improving a lot lately, so we are seeing her on the back 9 of her career, and let's be honest, even that's probably a little generous. She's probably not putting on hole 18, but she's walking. She's got her cart walking from 17 to 18, I'd say. We're getting near the end for Alexis Davis, but I do think she'll be able to put it all together one last time and be able to beat Julija Stoliarenko. Now, here's the thing. If Stoliarenko ever gets a UFC win, it's going to be this weekend because Father Time has caught up to Alexis Davis and she has fallen off a cliff. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, second round Alexis Davis. She did a great job against Penny Kanzat as well in the second round, her last time out. But both of us going with Port Colborne zone. In that Niagara region, in that Buffalo region. If we're going to make it international, we're going with Alexis Davis to get the win. Let us know down below in the comment section who you have in this fight and the rest of them. It's a big time slate of fights that you're not going to want to miss. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. And as we always say,
let's get into it.